Yo guys, what is going on? It's your boy Burt coming to the YouTube video, and today what we're going to talk about is half of the goalie testing, right? I set out on a path where I'm going to test out goalies. I'm going to see what is the difference maker, what is the feel, because feel is a big thing. Feel is something that I noticed, and in game there is things that I've noticed in between each goalie, not just to say that only size matters, because I don't think that's the case. I've come across a lot of things in just my 5 goalies that I've tested so far, 30 games apiece. And this is going to be the video discussing what I've noticed of just those 5 goalies. Now I'm going to do 5 more goalies where I'm going to take the information I've got from this video, and then I'm going to get other goalies more specifically going after individual things from what I've seen. So if I had short goalies, that I'm going to be talking about with speed and agility, I'm going to find a short goalie that doesn't have the same overalls. And then if I have a tall goalie, then I'm going to find a tall goalie that is different from the one I used. So I'm going to go through these goalies that I tested. I'm going to show you the exact ones that I've tested and their game history in the 30 games and what it felt like, and some good things and some bad things about each goalie. But let's get into it, guys. We've been waiting for this video and now it is here. Goalies, do they really matter or do they not? Or is each individual goalie, are you looking for individual stats? Because I think that's important to add, and we will get into it here. So the first goalie I'm going to talk about is Robin Lehner. I have him at the 87 here because when I tested him, he was the 87 overall Robin Lehner. And when I played with him, he played phenomenal. He played good. He had good games. He had bad games, which we'll go over. And most of these goalies played Division 3 and Division 4 players. Actually, all of them played Division 3 and Division 4. But I kept track of who I was playing so you could see who played more Division 3 and Division 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to this sheet right here. This is just Robin Lehner. So you're going to see here Robin Lehner played Markstrom, Binnington, Ottinger, all the way down. These are the goalies he played, and you see a pattern of goalies popping up. Like we see Markstrom here with a shutout. Then we look down and we see Markstrom here again, an 857. But this was the 81 Markstrom. And then you keep going down and you'll find like Ottinger. There was a lot of Ottingers tested out throughout this until Hellebuyck came out, and then there was a lot of Hellebucks. But Korchkov, I played him an absolute ton, and one thing I noticed is he's always bad, but we'll get to there eventually. So, Robin Lehner, in 30 games, Robin Lehner won 17 of them. He gave up some bad goals. He made some good saves. This whiff category is how many goals that I think he should have saved. And when I say that, I don't mean the 1Ts, because the D-to-D 1Ts, I feel like every goalie should save them, and I feel like they should go in because they're a good 1T. What I mean is, if the player was standing off to the side and he just took an unscreened wrist shot while he was holding the puck and it went down low, or you feel like Robin Lehner should have stopped it, or if it was just a straight shot from the slot and it was uncontested, unscreened, and it wasn't really a 1T, it was just a catch and release, I think that is considered a whiff. So whenever you see this whiff category with 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, that's me saying that in this game, this guy won 2-0. Robin Lehner, I think, let in 1 goal that he should have saved. So, essentially he could have won the game 1-0 if Lehner had made the save. But anyway, so that's what we're getting into. So we got our record here. Robin Lehner, 87 overall goalie. And then we have our win category here, which is 0-1, 3-2. I am always the first column. So if you see a 0-1, that means I lost that game. If you see a 3-2, that means I won that game, right? If you look down here, Robin Lehner had 17 wins out of the 30 games. So he had a winning record. And he faced 415 shots with a 849 save percentage. My opponents, as you see here, faced 429 shots with an 815 save percentage. So, the opponents, to me, relatively close, and that's a lot of goalies to go over. And then Robin Lehner, had a lot of 900s, a lot of 800s. He put up a couple of 7s and 6s, but for the most part, as the average runs out, he had an 849. So Robin Lehner was a really good goalie. He felt really good. He felt really consistent. And then whenever he had a bad game, he just absolutely blew up. But that's going to be typical out of these goalies. And then the next goalie we had in our lineup of goalie testing would be Gallery of the Greats, Marc-Andre Fleury, because I wanted to test out the speed. 99 speed, 99 agility, and then everything else was kind of low, but Marc-Andre Fleury, 6'2", with speed and agility. I needed to check out that card to see what we thought. And what we ended up finding out was Marc-Andre Fleury had 15 wins in 30 games, so he actually won less than Robin Lehner. And if you check out Robin Lehner played more Division 3 guys than Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury actually didn't play many Division 3 guys at all, and he only had 15 wins. So it was kind of a tough outing for Fleury in his 30 games. He had a couple of whiffs, not many. He felt like a consistent goalie, but I just couldn't get him to win. And then you see his save percentage. He had a couple in the sixes, but all in all, he had an .853. So he had a better save percentage than Robin Lehner, but he had less wins. And he did face more shots. He faced 491 shots, and Lehner faced 415. And then the opponent, I shoot at a pretty consistent level no matter how many times I play. So I get in and around the same average shot versus everybody, and I got another 427 with an .824. So again, the goalies are very close. The 30 goalies I played put together an .824, and then my goalie put together an .853 when Lehner put together an .849. So we got a tall Lehner at an 87 overall, .849, and we got a not as tall Marc-Andre Fleury, but with good speed and agility, putting an .853 up. So far, out of 60 games, it looks like my two goalies are pretty average. Now, this is where we had to shake things up a bit. We went 87 Lehner, we went 89 Fleury. We had to toss in a low overall card with not as much height, right? So we had a low overall card, 6'2", very slow, no agility whatsoever. Felix Sandstrom. How did this card perform over 30 games? Well, over 30 games, he had a 779 save percentage, you see in the bottom left, on 409 shots. He had 14 wins, so he still almost had a 500 on his win ratio, but he couldn't get there he couldn't get there. And then we had 430 shots on our opponents at an .825, .824. So again, they're pretty similar. When you look at what happened here, he just had bad games, right? He had a couple of good games and an okay 800, but when he had a bad game, the wheels really fell off, right? 21 shots, 5 goals, 15 shots, 4 goals, 19 shots, 6 goals, 13 shots, 6 goals, 4 shots, 2 goals. Like, even though we got the win, it was a very filthy game. Like, my opponent didn't play a lot. He didn't get a lot of ice time. But when he got into the zone and ripped the shot, it went in, right? Like, I was on this guy. If we look here, I was on this guy for 22 minutes of attack time, 21 shots. I was leaning on this guy hard. And he didn't get much puck time. He didn't get much shots. But the 4 shots he got, 2 of them went in. And that is what you get with a really low overall goalie that I've seen so far. One thing I did notice that I wanted to bring up is this Felix Sandstrom does not stop green 1Ts. There was, like, Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury stopped green 1Ts. They would make some of the saves. This guy didn't stop anything. If somebody lined up a green 1T, it went in the back of the net. So if you're going to play a goalie like this, you've got to play a lot of defense. Okay, and the most winningest goalie I have so far out of the 5 games was actually very surprising. So Kristen Campbell is 5'10", 97 speed, 97 agility. I did use this card for 30 games, and she played phenomenal. She made a lot of big saves. She only had 1 whiff in the entire 30 games. And the entire 30 games, anything that went in, I felt like every goalie would have let in. And there was only 1 shot that I was like, I feel like she could have had that. But with Kristen Campbell, she played the 30 games, 406 shots with an .828. However, she got 19 wins out of the 30 games, the most wins that we've had a goalie get so far. And my opponent with 440 shots was a .757. So my opponent was really bad. Their goalies did not stack up, and that's maybe why I won, is because out of the whole, the goalies that I played performed terribly. But it was a lot of Division 3 guys, as you see down the side there. That's a lot of Division 3, more than the past goalies played. So Kristen Campbell, so far, the shortest goalie with high speed and agility, but the most wins. Save percentage, she was a little low, and that probably had a lot to do with her height, but it wasn't as bad as I was thinking. I was thinking that she was going to get absolutely rocked because of her height. So I'm going to say that when it comes to the size, you need the speed. If you're going to be a lower size goalie, like if you're finding 6 foot or lower, 6'2" or lower, I think you need to find as fast as physically possible. And this Kristen Campbell was a really good card. Now, how do we do goalie testing without finding a massive low overall goalie? And what you would think happened, right? He was phenomenal and he was bad, right? I think when it comes to the low overall goalies, they have more bad games than good, but he still made phenomenal saves. And with that being said, he played the most Division 3 players out of anybody in 30 games, only playing 2 Division 4 players. With 487 shots, he was an .828, and he had 17 wins. So essentially, guys, what we see here is that it doesn't matter what goalie you have. They're going to give you consistently an .820 to an .850, and they're going to give you anywhere from 15 wins out of 30 games to 19. You know, that's where I was in and around, right? I was in and around, you know, if you took the average of wins from the 5 games, I was probably 16, 17 wins on average out of 30. So do I think it matters? I think if you're going to be cheap on the goalie, you need to go tall. And I think if you're going to pick a short goalie, you need to go fast. But all around, I think goalies all play the exact same way. Now, the lower overall goalies don't stop green 1Ts. Even Cossa had problems with green 1Ts. Now, what we could say is you could take that information of Kristen Campbell being really good against green 1Ts and think, okay, so shorter goalies are dynamite for 1Ts. Or is it just the speed and agility? So if you're in an ideal situation, I would go 6'6" if you can, 6'5" to 6'7" if you can, with as much speed and agility as physically possible. And I think you would have a good combination of goalie there. But I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to try to find that goalie in particular where we get a really, really, really tall goalie, and we try to find a really, really tall goalie with speed and agility. And then I'm also going to look for a short goalie that doesn't have speed and agility, and I want to see how that pans out. This is the halfway marker, guys. This is the halfway marker of the goalie testing, and I can't wait to get the next 5 out of the way. Let me know who you want to see. But remember, we've seen a base of goalies. We've got tall goalies with a low overall. We've got short goalies with a high overall with high speed. So now we got to rotate that. We're going to find a tall goalie with high speed and a short goalie with low speed just to see what happens. But what other goalies would you like to see? Put that in the comment section down below, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And until next time, ciao, ciao.